Walk into almost any commercial restroom and you'll find one of two things near the sink: a paper towel dispenser or a hand dryer. Now, it seems like a simple choice, but behind it is a surprisingly complex conversation about hygiene, sustainability, operations, and design. Today's guest on the Retrofit podcast has spent years at the center of that conversation. Damian Wilmer is Senior Business Development Manager for the East Coast at Excel Dryer. It's a Massachusetts-based family-owned company behind the Accelerator hand dryer product. Excel Dryer manufactures all of its hand dryers in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, and they're the only hand dryer manufacturer to achieve Made in the USA certification for their full product line. Excel Dryer has been making the case that how you dry your hands matters, and they've got the data to back it up. From life cycle assessments to post-pandemic surveys on what building occupants actually want from a commercial restroom. In this episode, Damian and I talk about what's driving the shift from paper towels to high-speed hand dryers, how facility managers are thinking about restroom design in a post-COVID world, and where products like the Accelerator Sink, an integrated sink and dryer system, can fit into the future of commercial restroom design. I'm Jim Schneider. I'm a trends writer for Retrofit and Retrofit Home, and the host of the Retrofit podcast. If you work in facilities, architecture, or building ownership, and you're interested in material and energy efficiency or healthy buildings, have a listen. Whether we think about them or not, we all utilize commercial restrooms and can acknowledge that their performance and design is pretty darn important. So thanks a lot for joining us. Damian Wilmer,
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So my name is Damian Wilmer. I am the Senior Business Development Manager for Excel Dryer. I have been with Excel for 7 years now. We're for those people who don't know what Excel Dryer is, we are made famous by our Accelerator hand dryer, the one that blows your skin around on your hands when you're drying your hands. We were the first to come out with the high-speed, energy-efficient hand dryers. We're a small company, but I like to say that nothing we do is small. So nothing we do is small. We're really big.
It's like you say that everyone sort of knows the Accelerator, and I still have I have a distinct recollection of the first time I encountered one. I used to live in Chicago, and it was like a pub that my friends and I would go and watch football games at and stuff. And they had this new, like, whoa, and somebody coming out of the bathroom, like, you seen this Accelerator thing? Like, because it does, it like just whips the water off your hands, and like, it was all like cool looking when you're used to the old time. Like, I'm old timer like me, like seeing these old timey hand dryers we had in the
like
80s.
push button.
Yeah, that's right. Whole different like ball game. Now these are like, that just felt high tech. I felt like I was in Area 51 or something using that, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. My first experience was in high school, and when we were in a Wawa. You don't have Wawa out near you. I don't think you do.
I don't, but I'm familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where I'm from, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and where I'm from, Wawa is big, and they had the Accelerator in there, and it was my first experience using it. And yeah, man, like when I saw like the sticker, feel the power underneath it, and when I put my hands underneath it, I was just as stunned as you were. Like, I mean, man, like, yeah, like this thing came out of nowhere, and it was so impressive with how strong it was.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just the velocity of the air coming out. And that was like 13, 14 years before I joined the company, when I first had my first experience with it. And I never imagined that I would be representing them today. So
that's right. Life has all kinds of unexpected turns. So many of these kinds of systems that you see, it is like a gentle breeze on your hand where, then you just wipe your hands on your pants afterwards anyway. But yeah, it was stepping it up in a different direction and really making that technology more effective. And so I guess from your perspective, because this is a big part of, one of the things I think when I cover all kinds of different parts of the building and the built environment we do at Retrofit, and it can be easy sometimes to forget how important something like a restroom, public restroom within whether it's an office, a school, any kind of commercial building is to the overall occupant comfort, safety, and also the sustainability of the building. And I wonder if you could speak a little bit to that and your role that you play in that dynamic?
Yeah, yeah. So, number one, I mean, that's a big thing for us is being environmentally sustainable. It's the reason why when we conducted a lot of our research and put technology into our dryer, we make sure that it is sustainable and that number one, it's reducing your carbon footprint. We've had studies that show that 94% reduction in your overall carbon footprint if you use our hand dryers as opposed to using paper towels, the classic way to dry your hands. So for us, yeah, I mean, the restroom design primarily focused on environmental sustainability is where we like to, make sure that we're not only focused on, but that's where we are the best at is being environmentally sustainable first. And then outside of that, yes, like there's other things that make us the best, but environmental sustainability is a primary focus for us because we do believe in protecting the environment for future generations. And also, look, whatever side that you're on when it comes to global warming, um, reducing the impact we have on landfills is
Yes.
just a benefit for everybody. Like
Yeah.
regardless of what side you are on that issue, and that's what we do. We reduce the burden on landfills because our hand dryers don't go there, and they're environmentally sustainable, and they can be powered with renewable energy, something that you know paper towels can't do. So,
That's
so it's
right.
it's
And I'm
yeah,
so glad you brought that up because that is, I mean, it's an environmental issue, but it's also an economic issue. Because as I understand it, and first of all, if anyone out there listening has not had the pleasure of visiting a landfill, which I have, I would encourage it because then you would realize like, oh man, we really need to be doing less of this. And it's becoming more expensive in a lot of, particularly like dense
yeah,
urban areas. The cost of landfilling is going up because they're running out of space to do it. I know out east, I was at a conference and we were, talking about the fact that a lot of like New York City's uh, garbage gets taken out to states, several states away. And there's
yep,
more and
yeah.
more of that. It becomes an actual cost constraint in a lot of ways. So we really should be thinking about materials in a way that how do we do, our common business of life in ways that are less wasteful and less impactful on the material environment.
Yeah, no, Jim, well said. So, in a previous life, I worked for Waste Management, the largest trash and
Right.
recycling company in the country.
So you have
And
a
I
unique
had,
insight on this. Yes.
yes, and I have been to a landfill, two landfills actually,
Mm-hmm.
both in the Pennsylvania area. Well, actually, one was in New Jersey, but one was in Pennsylvania. And yeah, I mean, the amount of the cost of a landfill, the engineering that goes into it, the huge footprint that they have. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so much that goes into it. Now, look, they have done a lot of advancements in making them as green as possible by
Yes.
harvesting methane gas from the air, from the landfill. They like when they're finished, they cap them and they
Mm-hmm.
turn them into like wildlife parks or open ground area for people to walk and things like that. But nevertheless, some of this stuff takes so much time and effort to bury and so much time and effort to decompose. Some plastics never. I mean,
Yeah.
like over a million years, like they'll still be there. So,
Right.
so it's that's a huge impact. And yeah, so as if we can reduce the amount that we're sending to the landfill, I think that's a benefit for everybody, regardless of like what side of the global warming conversation you're on.
Totally. And you're right. It's like, yeah, not, it is really impressive, incidentally, what has been done in the realm of waste management, not to name
Yeah.
check your company there, but or former company, but in general in that industry, it's true. But then we also, as consumers and as building operators and designers, have to think about ways to reduce that stress on that infrastructure. And this is one of those ways. And I mean, if I understand correctly, also, at least, um, do you see or do designers talk to you guys about kind of some of the health and safety benefits of essentially less physical touch in the restroom environment?
We commissioned a survey with Metrics Lab. It's a leading company who like does this sort of thing, and we wanted to know what were some of the post-pandemic perceptions about restrooms. So they talked to thousands of participants across the US, Germany, Spain, Turkey, several countries, isn't it? Just to name a few. And they found a lot of interesting takeaways from this. Number one, restroom cleanliness and hygiene are paramount. Some of those changes that were underscored in the survey were that people wanted touchless fixtures, touchless technology in the restroom, which for good reason, because your hands are a primary vector of spreading bacteria, viruses, and germs between one another, between surfaces. So they wanted everything touchless. People don't want to touch anything when they go to the restroom. So that was a big change with just design styles. And then a lot of advancements in touchless technology that we uncovered was touchless toilets, touchless partitions, touchless doors. Some of this stuff, I didn't even know about. I had to look it up because I didn't know about a touchless partition. I was like, well,
Yeah.
like how does that work? And like it's gesture controlled, and you use like your elbow to like open. Yeah, so
Wow.
it was really fascinating. Yeah,
Hmm. I didn't
it
know
was.
that.
Yeah,
I was thinking like, does it
no, I
obey
mean,
psychic commands or something? Like that's
yeah, yeah.
cool.
No, seriously, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or like, does your phone open it when you touch
Right.
your phone or something? Yeah, really. Yeah. So that was that. But also, if you look at how airports, I think I travel a lot, and airports do a really good job at this, where the design layout of like restrooms, where they're like doorless, like the ones at airports, they have like a maze walkthrough where like you're not touching anything. You just walk in, you do what you got to do, you get out of there, and everything's touchless. And that's paramount. But for another thing that they uncovered with the survey was that integrated touchless sink systems
Mm.
were also being implemented, and that's where you do everything all in one. You got the soap, the water, the hand dryer, all on the same fixture. It's all touchless.
Mm.
Which one of the examples of a product like that is our D13 sink system featuring the accelerator sink hand dryer, and that has that system on there where it's totally touchless. You do everything all in one, and then you leave, and you never touch anything. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't touch a single thing. So the hygiene focus for sure is one of the biggest changes post pandemic that they saw. And then a quick little tidbit too, just for your information. Did what do you think people said was the number one reason they thought that a restroom was dirty?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what that would be. I mean, yeah, is it
Yeah.
aesthetics? I mean, is it like a
No,
thing that
no,
they
no,
see?
yeah. So
Okay.
it's it's not a trick question, but it's probably one that maybe surprises you. It doesn't surprise me, but if it maybe
Yeah.
surprises you, it was paper towels on the floor. That was the number
Oh,
one. That was the number
interesting.
one reason that people gave. Yeah, I mean, pretty eye-opening stuff. I mean, I wasn't surprised because I know when I go to a restaurant and I see paper towels on the floor, I instantly think dirty. And I mean,
Yeah.
nobody picks them up. Do you pick up someone else's paper towel? And
No,
then no. So,
no.
so, so they sit there.
That's really interesting
So yeah.
because it does like speak to the fact that I wouldn't have thought of this, to be honest, because it's not the thing in and of itself that you think is dirty in a restroom, but the fact that you have that pile there shows that okay, no one's been taking care of this and no one is whatever, and it kind of sets that whole expectation. So that's interesting because then having fewer paper towels means having less chance of that, which means less perception of cleanliness. Yeah, or of lack of cleanliness. Yeah.
Correct.
Wow.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And I know that there are studies that show also like the overall feel and design. You mentioned the airport, like, because a lot of airports now, especially newer ones, really do have these slick, efficient designs that they have for their restrooms. So is aesthetics part of what you guys think about also? Because I know certainly for an interior designer, it's not just there's the physical aspect of efficiency and cleanliness, but also you I think so much of that is psychological for the end user to feel this level of design and comfort in a place like that.
So aesthetics for sure. I mean, and that's one of the when it comes to restroom design. People love going into a nice space. So when they walk in there, they want to see shiny fixtures. They want to see things nice and clean. They want things to be easy to use and all of that. So aesthetically, uh, in the restroom environment, yeah, I mean, you are seeing that happen quite often. That's one of the reasons why that our integrated sink system is so popular,
Mm.
is because it's got this really nice, sleek aesthetic design. It doesn't look like a hand dryer. Not that hand dryers are ugly in my opinion, but it doesn't look
Yeah,
like a hand dryer.
that's right.
But it's one of those things where like people see it and it's like, ah, that's really nice and premium looking. So that's part of it. But I mean, for sure. I mean, from what we identified from the Metrics Lab survey, aesthetics was definitely a part of it. Hygiene was number one though.
Yeah,
So it's one of those things where yes, they want it to look nice, but number one priority is it safe? Is it is it
yes.
is it going to get me sick, or is it going to that's like the number one thing. But yes, aesthetics do matter for sure.
Yeah, and that's because it is. It's all. I think it's all part of perception of, because even it's interestingly, I feel like there's a connection in the mind. Even if you're thinking, "Hey, my priority is cleanliness," your perception of what cleanliness is impacted by what you see and the aesthetics. And so, yeah, it's an interesting combination there, from a designer standpoint and from a manufacturer standpoint. The things you guys have to be thinking about. And I know obviously sustainability is a focus for you and for the industry right now. And that's, for one part, we talked about materials. I'm also curious, your actual approach to the product line itself. And, if you guys do life cycle assessments or environmental product declarations, any of that, if you have any, kind of a perspective on what life cycle assessment reveals about touchless high speed hand dryers.
Yes. So this this is a big one because I get asked this a lot with architects and
Yep.
interior designers who want to see the life cycle assessment, which in layman terms, for everybody who doesn't know what that means, it's cradle to the grave approach. So they want to see how the product impacts the environment from the manufacturing all the way to its end of use, where some products go to a landfill, some get recycled, some things like that. So that's what they want to see. But yes, that's a huge part of it. And on our life cycle assessment, number one, hand dryers are significantly more sustainable than paper towels, including recycled paper towels. So it's funny because Jim, I get this a lot. People will say, "Oh, Damian, I am sustainable. I'm using recycled paper towels." Like literally, like it's
Right.
called 100% recycled paper towels. And to me, it's like, well, hold
Hmm.
on, no, you're not, because those aren't you're not using them and then they just get recycled
Yeah.
over and over again. No, no, no,
It's not
no.
how it
Once you use
works.
them, they go to the landfill.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
so yeah, yes, they are being produced from recycled paper products, but not paper towels. They're
Yes.
being
It's
recycled, but then once
downcycled
they're
from
used,
something else. Right. And then it goes to a landfill.
correct. Plus the manufacturing that goes into it to produce that. I mean, they have to heat things up to enormous temperatures. They use a lot of fossil fuels to break down that cellulose, like that pulp, to get it to actually to turn it into that product. Whether it's a paper towel or any other paper product, it takes a lot of energy to do that. So that's that. And then number
Yes.
two, our hand dryers have an 83% reduction in global warming potential versus paper towels.
Wow.
So that's less water pollution, lower acid rain formation, lower water consumption, including during the manufacturing process.
Mm-hmm.
Paper towel production uses a lot of carbon impacting manufacturing processes, transport of raw materials, manufacturing plants, bleaching, drying, packaging. All of this contributes to pollutants that basically produce smog.
Yeah.
Like every time you are heating something up, you are producing a gas from that, and that is producing smog, which has a significant impact on your respiratory health. While I mean, I know there's many cities that have that issue. I know LA is one of them,
Mm-hmm.
where they have days where like they have a smog problem. So you can thank the manufacturing processes that have to do that. Hand dryers don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Also, a hand dryer's water burden is much smaller because during the use phase, we only use electricity. So
Mm.
paper towels continuously during manufacturing have to use water. When for us, we don't use that. So so the use phase, we're only using electricity, and we avoid the manufacturing water consumption that paper towels have. So that's a huge part of it. And just to put this into perspective, Jim, we like to say this to people, and I mean, like, it wows them. To manufacture 1 ton of paper towels, 17 trees are used, 20,000 gallons of water is needed. It pollutes 7,000 gallons of water
Oh,
and takes up 40 cubic feet of landfill space. So
wow.
I mean, think about the impact I mean, that, that has on the environment, on manufacturing processes. I mean, there's a significant amount of just carbon footprint generated from that whole process. But then think about the 17 trees.
Man, I'm thinking about all that. I
It's a
mean, look,
lot.
I live out, I'm out in Colorado out west. It has been dry here. Like water is a big deal in a lot of parts of the country, and that is, that's an interesting thing that a lot of folks don't think about necessarily is the water impact, both in terms of water utilized and polluted as a result. And it is, an increasingly precious resource that we have to manage, and that's a significant note that I think maybe I certainly wouldn't have thought of. I'm glad you pointed that out. And I think that's part of what to me makes the whole LCA exercise, life cycle assessments so enlightening, because it does show you a lot of different impact categories you might not have thought of, and allows industries and manufacturers to make, hopefully different choices and figure out different ways through. Let me ask you about energy. Is energy efficiency something you guys focus on?
Yeah, well, I mean, so that's the paramount focus on our hand dryers just in general, because that's where you get your cost savings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So energy efficiency, just put this into perspective. All right, so let's talk about paper towels versus that energy efficiency with our hand dryer. So on a study that we conducted, just on average, it costs 2 cents per paper towel for you to dry your hands. That's the average. Most people, I mean, at least I never see them do it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever takes one paper towel.
Right.
They always take multiple. But
Yes.
I mean, if we're just gonna do it fair like that, and someone uses one paper towel, it's 2 cents. For us, Jim, this is gonna blow your mind. On average, we are 10% of a penny to dry your hands one time
Wow.
using our Accelerator Eco. That is point 0.1 of a penny. So it would take, get this, Jim, 20 hand dries to equal one time you're drying your hands with a paper towel. So you talk about energy efficiency. That's energy efficiency at its best. So
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't get much better than that.
Again,
I mean, that's 95% cost savings in terms of energy efficiency. And our Accelerator Eco also only uses 4.5 amps and 500 watts of energy. So for a lot of installations, you could install multiple units on a single outlet breaker, which is important because that reduces installation costs.
right.
You know, like standard, like if you're looking at a standard build, and most buildings in the United States are 110, 120 volt, which is what your house is on, and then 20 amps on a single breaker line before it trips,
Mm-hmm.
and 1875 watts. So usually with our original accelerator, you could only have one because it's at 1500 watts and a little over 10 amps on there. But if you were to use our Eco, which only uses 500 watts and 4.5 amps, you could have three on a single outlet line. Just to put it into some perspective here with the energy efficiency, which, I mean, like, that's a game changing thing, because
Yeah.
for a lot of installations, electricians are very expensive, and for good reason, because they're very,
Yeah.
it's a trade profession. So I understand, but it's one of those things where if we can reduce that cost, That also helps with the cost savings, but also with the energy efficiency because you're putting it all in that single breaker and you don't have to have more wiring throughout the building, which uses more energy.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of folks you work with, whether those are owners or designers, who are interested in certification programs like LEED or like well building. Um, what do you, have you guys kind of targeted your products toward that, or how do you work with designers on that?
Yeah, no, Jim, thank you. And great question. So, what we definitely focused on were both of them, so lead and well. So, just for people who aren't familiar, lead focuses primarily on products going into the space, and well is focused on the people. So, both are extremely important, though, because lead, promotes the environmental sustainability of a building, the green part of that building, and making it a green building design. But then, well is focused on making sure that the space is healthy and productive for people. So, really, I mean, essentially, people want the spaces to be sustainable, morale boosting, productive, and lead and well both contribute towards that. But so I have a personal connection to this because at Excel Dryer we actually did a healthy office oasis renovation, and we were guided by the well building standard. And some of the things that we did in our building for our employee focused design was we added more natural light into our workspaces because we know that natural light promotes the health and well being for humans. We incorporated biophilic design, so we brought in nature into the office, which promotes your mental health well being. State of the art air filtration. Our office is filtered with ultraviolet germicidal radiation lamps. A lot to say, but essentially, they purify the air. We also have MERV 13 filters throughout the office space. We have standing desks to maximize comfort, so people have the option to stand or sit throughout the day. And of course, we have the D13 integrated sink system featuring the accelerator sink hand dryer in our offices spaces, including the conference room, so people can wash and dry their hands to get sanitized while we're doing presentations and while we're sitting there having meetings. So very important for us. But really, if you want your building, your commercial building to be, to make people feel great, lead and well are great frameworks to get there. For
Yeah,
sure.
and I think they both draw on each other a little. I know that the LEED version 5 is including more healthy
Yep.
building, and it may even reference well if I'm trying to remember now. But still, yeah, they're both very heavily sought after programs, and I think it's, even as time goes on, sure, part of it is about getting the plaque, but the other part of it is it gives folks a guideline to follow to achieve the kinds of things that give the end result of a sustainable occupant centered building. One of the things that stood out to me too, that thinking of our audience, retrofit, which is trying to find ways to refresh and update and utilize existing building stock. I understand you guys have a program, I think it's called Exchanger, where you kind of bring
Right.
in
Yeah. Well done.
yeah, so I would, I think this is a good thing for our audience to hear about. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, especially for, I mean, like it's in the name, right? Retrofit and all
Yeah.
this, so for us, yes, we have an amazing solution for people who do have those typical paper towel dispensers where the paper towel and then the waste basket is right underneath it. And it takes up that whole unit space with like, like the entire um, product takes up an entire wall space like that. We have an exchanger combo kit that includes our part 40502, but also it has our exchanger kit below it. And then that subs out that exact space. So that way it reduces installation costs where you don't have to have someone come back in and fill that area in with drywall. You just put our exchanger combo kit right there. And then as well, it also has our ADA compliant recess kit, which makes our accelerator it no longer protrudes more than 4 inches from the wall. So it kind of serves double duty, where it's making it ADA compliant, but it's also helping you reduce installation costs because it subs in that exact footprint that you're taking out, so you don't have to do any more touch-ups or any other design and features to make it work. But also, what we found from a lot of customers is that it helps reduce water going onto the floor as well because
Mm.
of the design of the exchanger combo kit. The water that's not evaporated from your hands will then go onto the exchanger kit, and as it's cascading down the kit, it gives it more of an opportunity for it to evaporate. So you're finding also, that you'll have less water on the floor as well.
That's great. Well, I mean, what a
It is.
cool turnkey solution to, for buildings who are existing buildings looking to just either upgrade their facilities or make some changes, or, whether that's a full on renovation or just some upgrades. It's a nice system that you have. So like you said, owners don't have to think about, ripping out an entire wall and doing the whole thing over just to suit that. So that's a cool
Right.
concept. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So any other, like, on that note, like, kind of either things that you are rolling out or thinking about or looking at as trends within the industry, or something down the line that you guys might be looking at in the future or want to share with our audience?
Yeah, sure. I'll share what I can because
Oh,
some
of
of our stuff
course.
is
I know. Yeah.
classified.
Please give us all your plans and trade secrets. I'll be taking, no,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, so we've got a lot of exciting new stuff, but right now our newest is our accelerator sink, which is the D13 integrated sink system featuring our accelerator sink hand dryer.
Mhm.
This is our newest, which is the all-in-one design. But I am pleased to tell you, Jim, we have a next generation product coming out sooner than later,
Cool.
and it's game changing. It's going to have all of the lessons we've learned over the last 25 years, because our accelerator came out. The original accelerator was debuted in 2001.
Mm.
So we've got a lot of research and development put into this latest next generation of our hand dryer, and I'm super excited about it because it's going to be the Internet of Things, but also it's essentially, it fixes every single question that someone has ever had about a hand dryer, right? Like
Oh.
aesthetically,
Mm-hmm.
hygiene, uh, something like where does the water go? People oftentimes ask that question because with using a wall-mounted unit or
Mm-hmm.
using a traditional hand dryer, not our integrated sink system, you will have some water that gets to the floor naturally, but this system addresses that and fixes that,
Nice.
so we never have that issue at all. And then of course, with the other one that people often bring up times with me is the sound, because for us to dry hands very very quickly, we use very powerful air. It's
Mm-hmm.
what we're known for, right? You see that feel the
Yes.
power sticker. There is a trade-off with noise when you're doing that, but this system solves that too. So
Really? All
it's going to be
right.
amazing.
Okay, now
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. Like that, certainly. Well, I look forward to hearing about that when the time comes. Because I also think
I'm super excited
it
about
is a good point, because I know sometimes, yeah, some people are noise sensitive, and it's helpful to have quieter solutions in those environments, and that's a great thing. Because I know earlier we were talking about the fact that you just got back from a trade show and you were out there speaking the gospel of
yeah.
Excel dryers. Any particular passages from that gospel that you would like to share when you're out there, kind of talking to regular folks about this? I'll
Yeah.
ask you the high level question of some of the top line things you talk about. And also, you seem like a guy who is good with talking with people and stuff, got a good sense of humor. Any like stock jokes you have,
Yeah,
about this
sure.
being a
Yeah.
dry topic or something? Like, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
curious. I'm curious what you got.
Yeah, sure. Well, so let me start with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
We cover some really good topics, but one of the preeminent things that I get approached on a lot, and I understand because there's a lot of bad research out there and a lot of propaganda that is put out there about hand dryers being unsafe,
Mm.
and that they blow around germs and they make it more likely for me to get sick. That's what they found. That's not true.
Mm.
So for the audience out there, hand dryers, number one, the CDC tested hand dryers during the height of the pandemic. They found no evidence of that occurring. If they did, they would ban us. I mean,
Right. Right.
immediately, because the
Yeah.
CDC manages the public health risk. So that's number one. But also, our hand dryers, we have something called an electrostatic HEPA filtration system that we actually, it's optional because hand dryers are safe without it. But if you want to have something that purifies the restroom air and that can help remove any airborne pathogens that might exist in there if someone just sneezed, well, equipped with our electrostatic HEPA filter, it will filter out. And this is from third party testing, Jim.
Mhm.
99% of all viruses and 99% of all bacteria, 99.99% of all viruses to be
Wow.
exact, and 99.97% of all bacteria. So if you have our hand dryer equipped with our HEPA filter, it will purify the restroom air every time you use it. It's essentially an air
Wow.
purifier. Every time you use it, it's purifying the restroom air and removing, whatever is in the air column. Because just like I
Yeah.
said, 99.99% of all virus removed from the airstream. So that's a big one.
That's a big
That
value add. That's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's one thing we wanted to mention, because that's something that we try to educate as much as we possibly can, but there is a lot of propaganda out there, and as much as I don't want to believe people believe everything they read on the internet. I hope not. Make sure you're going to a reputable source. Make sure that like you're also using common sense, because that's another thing too. Is that you know yes, you can use all of the data, but at the end of the day, too, sometimes things can boil down to common sense. You could just
Yeah.
look at it and go, yeah, that's not true.
Right.
Because, for XYZ reason. So there's that. But also, the next one that I wanted to bring up, too, is the ROI. So a lot of
Hmm.
people will look at the cost of a paper towel dispenser, right? It'll be $80 to like buy one of the paper towel dispensers, one of like the low grade ones that you just pull on and the
Hmm.
next towel comes out. Well, so yes, there's a low cost up front, but think about the amount of paper towels you're going to use over the course of that life. Think about how much waste that's adding to your waste stream, which is increasing your trash costs. Think about the environmental impact that that's having on just the environment, obviously, and just like everything that we talked about today with smog creation, landfills being filled, carbon footprint, everything. So the ROI with our hand dryer, if you make that initial investment up front, we're not going to be $80. I can tell you that we're not in that business. We don't sell anything cheap. Everything is cost effective, and everything is a people focused, meant to add value to you. So if you were to get our hand dryer, installation, everything, buy it, installation, upfront cost, everything, we will give you a return on your investment within 1 year.
Mm.
1 year, you will
Yep.
make back the cost of the hand dryer, the cost of running it, versus what you would have spent on getting the paper towel dispenser, that $80 paper towel dispenser, and then the cost of paper towels leading into it. You will make that back within 1 year. And then every single month after that, it's just straight savings to the bottom line.
I really do feel like there is a shift towards more understanding of kind of total cost of ownership and what the full, whether that's from a sustainability standpoint or from an economic standpoint, it isn't just first cost. It isn't just upfront impacts. It's what that looks like over the 30, 40, 50, however long a building is there, hopefully a long time, operation, and how long your products are operating. And
Yep.
yeah, it's when you think about the cost difference between a paper towel dispenser that you have to constantly be filling with new incoming product and all that you mentioned. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And and
Yeah.
um and I do have a joke though too.
Oh,
So,
good.
so,
Let's hear it. I want to hear it, please. I am a dad who has a very lame sense of humor. I'm constantly making these jokes, so I want to hear
well,
yours.
it'll be short. It'll be a short one. So I actually, so when I'm giving presentations, Jim, a lot of times I'll actually, to break the ice, I'll tell a short story or I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell a joke that to actually get everybody engaged. So this is one that I'm really fond of,
All
that
right.
I actually learned. I was on a flight, and I was sitting next to a pastor. And I get bored when I'm on planes, man. I get tired of listening to music or watching videos, And I like reading, but on flights sometimes I talk to the person next to me. So I introduced myself to this guy next to me, and he's a pastor, and I was telling him what I like to do with presentations and giving jokes or like giving stories. And I asked him, "Do you have like a story for me?" He says, "No, but I have a joke." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, tell me more." So like he goes, "So here's the joke." The student goes to his rabbi and says, "Rabbi, why do you and the other rabbis always answer my question with another question?" The rabbi replies back to the student, "Well, how should we answer?" Perfect. Robbie, I thought it was funny, and the way how you said it was funny. But, I probably butchered it, but the way how you said it was funny.
I love it. See, we've talked this whole conversation about resource efficiency, energy efficiency. That is humor efficiency. It's a very short, a short line from beginning to laugh. So that's good. I'm impressed. That was well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Damien. This has been great. I really enjoyed talking with you. I've learned a lot today, so thanks for sharing this. That's a wrap on today's conversation with Damien Wilmer of Excel Dryer. Thanks to Damien for joining us and sharing his thoughts and insights. If you want to learn more about their American-made hand dryers or dig into the sustainability and hygiene data that we talked about today, be sure to visit exceldryer.com. And while you're online, be sure to check out Retrofit and Retrofit Home magazines for more stories on the commercial and residential renovation, sustainability, and products and ideas shaping the built environment. You can find us at retrofitmagazine.com. If you found this episode useful, please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.